Hello everyone, welcome to our Practicum final presentation. My name is Megan Bars and I'm from DeRoche, BC, and over the summer I worked at the Maple Ridge Pit Meadows Country Fest.
Hi, my name is Kaylee McAllister. I'm from Three Hills, Alberta, and I worked at an off-the-track thoroughbred training and breeding establishment called Fantasy Ridge Farms in Airdrie, Alberta.
My name is Braden Lewis. I live in Pearson, Saskatchewan, and I worked at Highland Feeders to complete my practicum.
The Practicum at Lakeland College is an alternative to the student-managed farm. Instead of being a part of running a farm operation on campus, over the summer we had agricultural-related jobs. These jobs included working at a feedlot, a horse training facility, and a country fair. During the school year, we also participated in classes. During these classes, we would research ag topics and discuss them in class, like fetal programming and mycotoxins. We were also required to participate in professional development. This included going to industry conferences or seminars and networking with people in attendance. By going to these events, we realized that we can continue to learn outside of school and gain contacts that will help us in future endeavors.
For our final presentation in this class, we wanted to take an interactive approach on understanding our consumer. Our goal with this project was to survey individuals with no direct relation to agriculture about their thoughts on modern practices. Before we reached this global pandemic, we had intentions of making a trip to Edmonton to survey our participants at locations like farmers markets and shopping malls. The initial presentation was supposed to include video responses from the consumers as well as an opportunity to educate them with industry resources. After plans changed due to COVID-19, it was back to the drawing board. We did not want to ditch this idea, so we went to work creating an online questionnaire platform. We made 5 short 3-question Google forms after compiling a list of questions we wanted to ask. Then we sent out the 10 surveys to contacts whose only connection to agriculture was their food on their plate.
For our survey results, we selected results from each of our questionnaires and picked out the questions that we found had the most interesting or significant answers. One of our questions was, what do you think of when someone says factory farm? We had 15 responses. Mostly certain farms in the States that are massive and treat their animals poorly. I mostly think of the cow ones. They think they are an assembly line and not being cared for. I think of the barns with no windows. I think of feedlots with dark and dirty pens. I kind of think of the movie Babe, which I know isn't true. Looking at the 15 responses, we found some common themes. That factory farms mass-produced a specific product, which is consistent with the definition of factory farms, and also that they considered factory farms to be industrialized.
Another question included in one of the surveys was, why do you think dairy calves are separated from their mothers at birth? We had a total of 13 responses. Here are some of the highlighted ones. To not drink all the milk from the mothers. Honestly, I didn't know they were. Overall, out of the responses, these were the 2 main themes: to optimize milk production and to improve calf safety. These answers slightly surprised us. With most of our survey groups being from major cities, it was surprising to see they knew there were health and safety benefits to both the calf and the mother. With most of these responses being fairly educated, we did have a few that didn't even know this was happening. This was surprising because this issue has been highlighted in the media.
We also asked if they were concerned about hormones or steroids in Canadian beef, as it is a common argument when it comes to buying meat. We picked this question because there's a lot of fast food chains and restaurants using the slogan as a marketing campaign, and we wanted to see if this planted any fear in the consumers' minds. We heard back from 13 people. With 13 responses, 76.9% or 10 people said that they are not concerned with the presence of hormones or steroids in the meat. On the other side of that, 3 people, or 23.1%, indicated yes, in fact, they were worried about hormones and steroids. This survey showed us that even in our small population of consumers that we surveyed, we still had people that were not informed of the little significance that hormones and steroids have. Next, we asked about the importance of buying local to them or their families. We heard back from 15 people. One individual said, yes, if it is reasonably priced and accessible, buying local ensures a smaller ecological impact and that there's no humanitarian or environmental issues involved in producing the food. When we looked at the 15 responses, we noticed a common theme about the importance of supporting the local economy, a sense of community, and the product being fresher and better tasting.
We asked if they thought if Canadian farmers could supply enough food for Canadian consumers. We had 16 responses. 81.3% of people said yes, and 18.8% of people said no. This question unfortunately didn't have a why option for people that had said no, so we couldn't find out why they thought farms couldn't supply enough for Canadian consumers. But overall, we did find that the majority of consumers thought Canadian farmers could supply enough for Canadian consumers.
Another question we asked was, what is your opinion on plant-based meat? We had a total of 12 responses. These are some of the responses. It is made with horrible additives. I won't eat it. It is an unnatural manipulation of plants to taste like meat. In my opinion, it is a trend to meet a psychological want rather than a nutritional need in society. The common themes in every single response were they had no interest, it was gross, and there were lots of chemicals in it. These answers completely surprised us. As people in the ag industry, we think urban consumers want plant-based, when in reality, everyone we surveyed would never eat it. This shows us that consumers were more interested in natural things than a lab product.
17 people added their input on grass-fed versus grain-fed beef. We asked this to see if the reputation of grain-finished beef was as negative as we expected, and the results were very interesting. One person said, I really don't know the difference, but I feel like I've been told to prefer grass-fed. I don't know if that is just marketing, though. I don't buy one over the other. Another person said, grass-fed all the way. My understanding is, and I could be wrong, that a cow's natural food is grass and not grain. It produces a more flavorful meat and requires less medical upkeep for the animals. Analyzing the 17 responses, we could group them into 3 categories. The people who believe that there's no difference between grain-fed or grass-fed, the people who believe that grass-fed is healthier, and the people who indicated their opinion on it being more natural. Marketing of grass-fed products have played a huge role in making people think that it is the superior choice, without taking into consideration the environmental impacts of a grass-finished animal over one that has been finished on grain.
Overall, our experiment resulted in a couple key takeaways. The first one was that consumers are more informed than we expected. This was especially seen in our dairy calves question about mother and calves being separated. When you first hear about this, it can be shocking and seem cruel. However, it seems most consumers took the time to learn or listen to the reason behind it. Another example question we asked that proved this was if brown eggs are more nutritious than white eggs. We didn't include this question in our previous slides because the survey showed a unanimous result of no, they are not more nutritious. This further proves that consumers are taking time to investigate questions or concerns they have concerning agriculture.
In completing this process, we've concluded that marketing and consumer education from specific commodity organizations have played a huge role in the positive results. For example, over $100 million nationally is spent on consumer education and marketing by the dairy industry. And on the beef side of things, the Canadian Beef Checkoff generates roughly $7.5 million annually. 4% of that money goes towards public stakeholder and engagement to bridge the gap between Canadian beef producers and the public. 52% of that goes into marketing and promotion of the Canadian beef brand, as well as each provincial organization playing a big part. In conclusion, we feel that this money is positive for the industry and allowing consumers to become better educated about ag products.
We just want to take a moment to say thank you to all of our friends and family who took the time to complete the surveys. Without you guys, we couldn't have finished this project.
If you have any questions about our presentation, please feel free to submit them using the comment box on this page.